We are Steve and Jill.
Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. Steve and Jill here.
Hi.
Welcome to the Land Academy Show, entertaining land investment talk. I'm Stephen Jack Butella.
and I'm Jill DeWitt, broadcasting from the Valley of the Sun.
Today, Jill and I talk about working with your spouse in your land business, or really at all.
You know, had I known how much fun and how easy that would be, I would have done it. Just kidding.
Here's the good news. If you can work with your spouse, then you can get through anything
Yeah, it's very
with your
true.
spouse.
Oh, yeah, that's true. You're golden.
Before we get into it, let's take a question posted by one of our members on the landinvestors.com online community. It's free. And I would like you to know we have a full-blown operational commercial printing company called owners.com. It's the same company that Jill and I use to send out our offers. We just made it available to everybody because we were sick and tired of dealing with commercial printing companies that didn't really understand our business.
Right.
Go to owners.com. We send out 800,000 or 900,000 offers a month. So
as a group, it's awesome.
we know by now.
We know
what we're doing.
Yeah. It's like everything.
Wasn't that way always.
No. Jay wrote, "Hey everyone, I've been going through the education and I really like infill lots, specifically waterfront properties. I have a few ideas in my home state, New York, but I'm exploring other markets to the south like Florida and North Carolina. Is there anyone here I can talk to about waterfront properties? As I build my criteria, I believe less is more. I'd like to do 3 to 5 deals a month at about, net $80,000 to $100,000 per deal. Is this possible with waterfront properties?" And I see one of our members here already responded, and he has this to say. Stephen wrote, "I've been at this for a year and I've made most of my money from infill lots. I targeted lots that have a mobile on them or have had one in the past. If you see a lot of new construction on Zillow, lots will move fast. Set
That's
the
great.
filters on Zillow to
love
show
this.
houses that were built 2020 to now." This is a good little tip, you're right. "And then skip trace those builders." This is brilliant. "They will be your infill buyers and they'll tell you all the nuances of what they're looking for."
Jay, I can tell you right now,
great.
we've had a lot of members come and go. We maintain around 500 members. That's where Jill's comfortable, and I totally agree. And I can tell you with confidence that you're going to do great. You've thought this through. You have a target acquisition criteria. You already said, I want to make about $200,000 to $300,000 a month. All very, very accomplishable. And the first step to doing all that stuff is exactly what you're doing. Writing it down, understanding it for yourself, and then asking this community if it's realistic and how do I go about doing that. And that was just one person's comment. Me included, there are a lot of comments in Discord about basically reiterating what I just said.
Yep.
Today's topic, working with your spouse in your land business. This is why you're listening.
We have not, well, here's what I think is cool, if you don't mind me jumping in first. I'm sure because of you and I, we clearly attract two different things, well, more than two, but for today's show, I'm talking about two that are so interesting that I love. We attract other couples. Some start out doing this together. Some like, hey, I want to pull my spouse in. That's why I'm here. And then B, women. It's so cool. We have a lot of women in our group. And in case you weren't sure, yes, I am bringing back Land Academy Ladies. It's coming back. So it'll be good. I took a little hiatus and everybody said, we miss you. We miss it. I'm like, okay. Because all the ladies who would show up for Land Academy Ladies are killing it.
Here's a few questions you got to ask yourself. And then once you ask yourself these questions, then sit down with your spouse and ask them these questions. Number one, do we have the same goals? This is such an important question. And Jill and I never sat down, and we weren't smart enough to do this back in the day. We just did it for some reason. Yeah. Honestly, we didn't want to work at our jobs. That's what this was really about, our regular jobs. So anything was better than that. And so that's how we started working together. But if I had to go back and do it, I would have said, look, what do you want out of life? And I would have found out pretty quickly that she wants and wanted the same thing I do. okay. Next question is
Check.
right. Check. The vast majority of people you're going to find out pretty quickly. In fact, you should do this before the second date. Right. Quite honestly.
For many of you, it's a little too late.
Yeah.
You're now realizing they wanted 6 kids and you really wanted 1.
Yep. Or you wanted to live in the woods and she wanted to live in an apartment somewhere.
Exactly. In a high rise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if in fact you're lucky enough to want the same thing, the second question is, all right, how would you go about getting that if I wasn't around? And if he or she says,
I'd hitch myself to a man.
Yeah. You don't want a woman that's going to hitch herself to a man. It makes my head hurt.
I know. I just had to say that. You know they're out there. Oh.
Or she might say, or he might say, yeah, I only married you for the money, and I actually plan to exit out of this in about 18 months. I
married you because your dad's loaded.
Yeah. You're my exit.
Exactly. They're going to die eventually, and then we're set. Could you imagine? I gotta back up.
You're my exit. That's a show.
And on date number 1, I don't really care about you. Please tell me about your family and what they have to offer. And how many siblings do you have? Like,
I have a lot.
How much is this going to be divided up?
If your spouse spends like more than a half hour every day at the gym and they just love themselves and love how they look, run the other way.
Well, hold on a moment. I spend 45 minutes, 3 to 4 days a week at 45.
I know you do.
Okay. Am I okay?
That's fantastic.
Okay, good.
Yeah, please don't stop doing that. But you don't, pat yourself on the back 23 hours a day because you did that.
And I don't put makeup on before I go, by the way. I don't agree with that either.
Ask your spouse, this question number 2, how do you want to get there? And they should, within reason, answer the question the same way that you would answer it. Like, yeah, I'm going to buy and sell a bunch of land, or I want to be an entrepreneur, or, if they say, oh, I'm happy working at the job that I'm working for the rest of my life. And if you're happy with that too, then check number 2. This is where, if you even get to question number 2, you're in the total minority. And if you check the box for number 2, you're, probably in the
now you're in the top
second
10%.
percentile, or maybe 5.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you why. Jill and I honestly probably can't check box number 2. So we both wanted to get to the same place, and we did it. Mm-hmm. How we get there
is very different.
Is completely and totally different, and it's ironically one of the reasons that we do pretty well. She is all about people. I'm all about money and processes and data, and for some reason it's worked out. It was very, very. This is truth time. It was very, very difficult to work with Jill in the beginning.
Because I'm a 7 and you're an 8 too.
Yeah.
You want to get there. I want to have fun along the way. You're like, screw the fun. We'll have fun when we're done. I'm like, well, hold on a moment. How long is it going to take?
Well, if we do everything that I say, it's going to take a half hour.
Oopsie. Here comes the 8.
I've been all very truthful. We're going to lose listeners.
If you haven't done this,
we didn't lose listeners yesterday. We're going to lose a bunch more today.
Great.
I have been the boss since I was probably 24.
Yeah, and I love it.
Well, I'm not the boss now. I'm not. Jill and I, there's stuff that she manages and stuff that I manage, but I'm in no way am I the boss. And so we might have titles that may suggest that, but that's just not what's going to happen. So if you have the type of person that has always been the boss and you're like, hey, sit over here, do this, and let me know when it's done, that's not going to fly. Yeah. They might say it's okay for a while, but then their heads are going to explode.
Yeah.
And this is not gender specific or age specific or anything. It's just, that's not what the nature of being in a long-term social relationship is. Sharing. The nature of work is bossing people around.
Yeah. I started to make
because your job as a leader, in my opinion, is to create the resources and provide resources to the people that work for you to realize your goals. In our case, it's buying and selling land. And so you can't do that with your spouse. You can't say, here's all of our goals. This is what I want you to do. And let me know when it's done. And we'll meet every Tuesday to see how you're doing. That'll last 10 seconds.
Here's what I'd like to add. I'm starting to make some notes about, okay, what's positive about working with your spouse? Well, we have the same schedule. That's for the most part, that's kind of nice. We understand what's going on in each other's worlds. That's kind of cool. We drive our friends a little nuts about that, but it's kind of cool for us. I don't have to explain anything, what's going on. And what's bad about it? You're working with your spouse. But so here's what I have learned, and I have talked to people about to make this work for us, is you have to set boundaries. You have to be really clear about when work starts, when work ends, where you can talk about work, not the bathroom. We do that often, and we have to catch ourselves and stop that. Not in the bar when the other person's like, I just settled in, I'm on my second drink. Can we please stop?
I just started to like myself again.
Yeah.
And you're going to talk about staffing?
Yeah, you can't do that. You have to really set some boundaries. We're going to have fun today. We're not going to think about work. We're going to a movie. We're going to do this. We're going to go look at cars. We're going to have fun. Let's not do this.
This is good advice, Jill.
Thank you. Second thing is,
it's too bad we don't follow it.
Yeah, I know. So, do as I say, not as I do. But you know what it is? It's a work in progress. But if you remember these things and you come back to it, you can do this. The number 2 thing is you've got to divide up responsibilities and tasks. It's like, I am not the money person in this company, and these companies, I should say. He's the money person, whether it's doing the end of year stuff, whether it's forecasting things, looking at new companies and new revenue streams and how it's going to play out. It's all him. I never question it. I don't, it's not my thing. And I'm happy in that role. It's not me. And then on the flip side, like sales, he doesn't talk to me at all. He doesn't care what I buy it for, what I sell it for. He knows I have a threshold, that my threshold is actually higher than his threshold. Yeah. So it's really easy. He doesn't question it. We divide up things like that.
There has to be, what Jill's really saying is you have to, you really need to trust the other person.
Well, that's number 3.
The trust that okay.
That's number 3. I was just going to get to that.
Okay.
So once you divide up the roles, so you have your boundaries, you divide up the roles, what you're going to work on, what I'm going to work on. And then the number 3 and final thing is stay the heck out of their lane. That's where he says you've got to trust. They're going to do the right thing. Not to throw you under the bus, but there were a couple things that took you a long time, like years. So don't worry if this is you. It took him years to trust me on some things, where he finally goes, you know what? I guess I don't need to look over your shoulder anymore. I'm like, you think? Because every time I do, you impress me, or doing numbers that I wouldn't have done, and deals I don't think I had the stomach to do, or I wouldn't walk in and saying, this is what we're going to, how we're going to buy it, and this is what I'm selling it for, and look at you make it happen, So that's the stay out of each other's lane. And even if they do it wrong, that's part of the trust you just said. So flippin' what? Let them fix it. Let them do it, because you cannot, because then if you went around behind them, I'm the woman, right? So I have to stay out of mom mode. Even if I see something coming, and you moms know what I'm talking about. I hate our gut instincts sometimes because it's so flippin' good.
I want to hear this.
I see the car accident coming, in some aspect of something in our business. I can't do that. I can't walk around, because you don't want to be that guy. You can't say, you just have to let it unfold and let them fix it. It's their line of the business. Because if you do, you're doing their work and then yours, and then what's the point?
Boy, you said
and
it.
you're gonna nobody's happy.
Look,
you're like, now I'm doing all your work, and then they're saying, not that we've had this argument, well then I'll be over here.
Sometimes the only way people learn is by getting in a car accident.
Yeah.
And I'm that way. I have to get smacked in the head to really understand and learn things. I can't read a book and then say, oh, okay, now I understand. I have to go do it, fail at it like 3 or 4 times, figure out the right way to do it, and then be successful. That's very hard for moms, a lot of moms, to understand.
Correct.
It was good, Jill.
Thank you
just
very
pulled
much.
that out.
I did. Well, this is all.
Oh, you have some experience at this.
Apparently, I do. I do.
In the bitter end, I don't recommend that you work with your spouse.
It's
I
hard.
really think you got to sit down and find out if you're on the same page, because it's completely a different skill set than it is with having a social relationship.
Okay, I'm going to give my one last comment, which is a truth time comment, that I know, like a lot of things in Land Academy, we kind of make it look easy. It's not.
Yep.
It's really hard. So I'll leave it at that.
Here's a few just experience-based tips. Don't work in the same building that your spouse
helps.
works in. Only speak with your spouse or your partner, business partner, when it's in a schedule. And so if, like, Jill and I get together outside of doing these shows and stuff,
We have meetings,
we have meetings.
scheduled meetings.
And that's it. Like, I don't ever anymore, we don't walk into each other's office anymore, unless there's something serious going on, which is almost never. You can communicate about land transactions through
Email, Airtable.
all day, and Teams if you have Microsoft and all of that. So it really is kind of like everything else. You have to train and retrain yourself and form some habits that are healthy and that work for everybody.
It's really, really good. I could go on and on about
Yeah, me
this.
too.
Happy you could join us today. 5 days a week. You can find us here on the Land Academy Show.
Tomorrow, the episode on the Land Academy Show is called, well, we interview Land Academy member Dan Smart, and he tells us all about what's happening in the northwestern part of the country. You are not alone in your real estate ambition. That went better than I thought.
I could go on and on about it. It's so true. The things that I've learned over the years. I was thinking one tip, like you saw it, about scheduled meetings. I learned what I used to do with you in the beginning, because you can't run into somebody's office 16 times a day and interrupt them. So I'd write them down. Like, I seriously would write down all the different things that I need to run by him. And then by the time and then I would save it up for the end of the day. Like, can we have a recap for today? I need to find out these things for tomorrow. And then by the way, by the time you do that, your 16 things is now 4, because you figured them out as you finish out your day. You're like, oh, I didn't need to interrupt for that. And then otherwise too, if they're doing that to you, you're not going to get anything done.
Some people think that more communication is always better. I just don't think that's the case.
The right communication is better at the right time and thought through. I agree. Thank you for tuning in. By the way, just so you know, Jack and I are very aware. Not everyone has $100,000 or so lying around to fund some deals or more. We just had some people fund a $3 million, buy for 3, sell for $9 million deal within Land Academy. So you know what? You can scroll the thing. I'm going to leave it at that. What do you need to do? Go to landfunding.com or send a note to support@landacademy.com if you want to find more about getting some deals funded.
Or if you're a member, just go to Discord, post your deal in there in the Would You Do This Deal section, and it'll get funded if it's a good deal.
Exactly.
We are Jack and Jill. Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.
Or just send them to me, because I want those deals. We hope you found our content valuable, and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.